Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're having a happy Friday. I'm having a good Friday. I guess my predictions of earlier this week were wrong, unsurprisingly, and there hasn't been any cataclysmic event happening, so I guess we're still okay. Humanity is still trucking, so it's fun making little predictions and following your premonitions just to see where they go. Sometimes they're spot on and sometimes they're way off. And I guess this time I was way off. I've checked the news and nothing cataclysmic has happened thus far. And so I guess I was wrong about my predictions. I guess it was just how I was feeling that day. I was feeling scared, anxious, nervous, but and that made me feel maybe that the external world would also mirror my internal chaos. But I'm glad it hasn't mirrored the external world hasn't mirrored my internal world. So I guess that's a good thing. But it's nice making predictions and it's fun. Doesn't mean that they're going to be spot on or they're going to be true. It's just fun to guess, to play God, you can say. Anyway, last night I saw the lunar eclipse and it was quite a spectacle. It was so beautiful. I saw it from start to finish. The eclipse, the moon started moving into the penumbra like around 10:30 in my corner of the world, and then it started moving into the umbra, so the shadow of the earth, like around midnight, and then it started moving out like around 12:30, and then around 1:30 it was the sun was shining on the face of the moon, so the earth was no longer covering sunlight from the moon, because that's what happens during a lunar eclipse. And I was thinking about the lunar eclipse and how this event is colloquially called the blood moon. And I looked it up and I wanted to learn why do they call it the blood moon. And I mean, I guess it makes sense because the moon turns red, so you can guess like, red equals blood, and that's why they call it the blood moon. But I really wanted to just know the history and the background, and I found that blood moon originates from the Christian tradition, and I just found it so interesting, because the blood moon was named after Saint John the Baptist in the Bible. Now, I am not a Bible scholar, I'm not a biblical scholar. I have read the Bible extensively. I know of the Bible because I grew up in that religion. And I mean, I no longer identify with it, but I do think that the Christian tradition, at least in the Western Hemisphere, has really had an impact on our culture in general. And so after I learned that the blood moon is named after an event that St. John the Baptist, so the story goes that St. John the Baptist lived in the wilderness and he preached the word of God. This was before Jesus, but St. John the Baptist baptized Jesus. But before he met Jesus, this is the background story. He lived in the wilderness, and he preached the word of God and told people to repent from their sins, and he was known as a man that sought the truth. And he later baptized Jesus. And because St. John the Baptist was known as the speaker of truth, he denounced, at the time, there were kings and queens, and St. John denounced King Herod. And King Herod had married Herodias, who was, I think Herodias was Herod's brother's wife. And that was like a no-no back in the day. And St. John the Baptist was very vocal, and he vehemently denounced the marriage, because at the time it was considered adulterous and whatnot. Anyway, one day, King Herodias's daughter, I think, okay, like I said, I'm not a biblical scholar, but I'm telling you the background story so you understand why the moon is lunar eclipse is called the blood moon. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so there was a dance. King Herodias had his daughter dancing, and okay, weird shit back in the day, okay? Okay, and so I think her name is Salome. Salome danced so well, and King Herodias asked her to ask him for anything, and he would grant her any wish. And Salome did not know what to wish for, and so she asked Herodias what should she wish for. And Herodias said, well, tell him to have St. John the Baptist, well, at the time his name was not, he wasn't canonized as a saint, but ask your father to behead John the Baptist and bring him to you on a silver platter. And so King Herod acquiesced, and he beheaded St. John the Baptist. And on that day, on the day that they beheaded St. John the Baptist, legend has it that that night there was a lunar eclipse, and so they named it Blood Moon. Now, whether this story is true or not is not the point, because I mean, it could be true, it could be a historical, some books in the Bible are historical based, and some books in the Bible are more symbolic. They're not to be taken literally. And I think fundamentalism has really corrupted the messages of the Bible and the symbolism, and a siren is passing by, of course, but just the okay, that distracted me, I'm sorry. Just the message of truth that it has about humans in general and behaviors within the human species, and how to avoid avarice and greed and gluttony, and basically the Abrahamic religions they have these books, the Torah, the Bible, the Quran. These books were meant to help humans live a better life. And of course, there is fundamentalism within these books and extremism. What we would consider extreme today was considered normal in the past, and it's more like the Bible, the Quran, the Torah are more like rule books and suggestions on how you should live your life. It's like half of it is rules, and then the other half is symbolism and allowing you to explore yourself and giving you tools to live an easier life. So anyway, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, St. John the Baptist and the blood moon. So the reason why I brought symbolism and the Bible being symbolic, and for it to be careful to take it literally, because it was never meant to be taken literally. People in the past used stories to convey a message. A lot of people didn't know how to read or write, and so the way that they learned about how to live a good life, or they learned about history and things like that, was through oral speakers. And so what I'm trying to say is that St. John the Baptist, I believe, is a symbol of the persecution for the truth. Now, like I said, I don't think that the stories of the Bible should be taken seriously. So I think St. John the Baptist symbolizes those who seek the truth and those who speak out the truth and aren't afraid to speak the truth, even amidst adversity, right? So, and I guess the story is a warning that those who speak the truth might suffer. But in the end, okay, so the death of St. John the Baptist foreshadows the death of Jesus, and the death of Jesus, it can be argued, the resurrection of Jesus is a symbol of finding the truth and finding your God, finding the God within you, and uniting your mind and heart with your essence. And I can talk about that in a different video, because I don't feel like I'm articulating it that well here. But anyway, those who speak the truth might suffer. They might face persecution. But that doesn't mean, so the story continues, and obviously the story of Jesus is connected to St. John the Baptist, and eventually Jesus is like the ending of the Christian story, where he rises to heaven, right? He resurrects. And although how I interpret St. John the Baptist is, you might be persecuted and you might suffer from speaking the truth, and you might even die for speaking out. But eventually, you are sowing seeds for the next generation, which would be considered, we can say, Jesus, like in the story of the Bible. You're kind of giving the next generation a push towards the truth, if that makes any sense. I feel like I'm not making any sense and I'm just rambling. And so, anyway, why am I bringing all of this up? The blood moon reminded me of the times that we're living in today. We're living in very uncertain times where the truth is being persecuted. We're seeing how politicians are trying to silence the media, and of course the media is bought by politicians and by oligarchs. That's no surprise. I always kind of knew that we were being manipulated by the agenda of the oligarchs who own the media companies. But we're seeing that people, just normal citizens, are being persecuted for speaking out the truth. They're losing their jobs, or they're being quote unquote canceled, or they're being censored, right? And it's really hard to motivate yourself and galvanize yourself to speak out the truth when they're trying to silence you. It's really tempting to passively accept what's going on. But we have to remember that speaking the truth, if our values are aligned to truth, part of being aligned with truth is not being afraid to speak about it. And what do I mean by truth? Because truth can be so subjective, and this is where we get into that wishy-washy area where what's true for you may not be true for me, and truth is so subjective, right? Depending on the experience that you've had in this life, that will determine what you believe and how you believe humans should live their life. But I do believe, in my own experience, and I may be way off and I may be groping at straws, but this is my point of view. I believe that there are subjective truths about ourselves, about who we are, and other people may not relate to that, may not relate to our values or to the things that move us. There is subjective truth, the truth about yourself, and then there is objective truth, the truth about reality, the truth about existence. And I think no one really knows the truth, like the objective truth, because we're so stuck in our own mind. But I do, and this may sound super woo-woo, and you may agree or you may disagree, and that's fine. And it's just my point of view and how I see it. I sense that there is, and I'm going to use woo-woo terms because I can't think of other terms that aren't laden with meaning and have been corrupted by scammers and gurus and spiritual speakers out there. Okay, so forgive me for using these hippy-dippy metaphysical words. I believe that certain positive emotions or positive actions have a higher vibration than negative actions or negative intentions. The negative intentions, negative actions, negative behavior have a lower vibration. And how I defined negative and positive, I would say that positive is something that uplifts you, something that, and I'm lost for words here, so excuse me for using words that may not really elucidate what I'm trying to convey. Positive vibrations are anything that makes you feel you, makes you feel in your body, reminds you of your existence. You're connected to your quote unquote prana. I don't want to use hippy dippy words, but you're connected to that life force energy. Have you ever been in a situation or in a time where you just felt so alive and so connected and so into yourself? And I don't mean into your personality or into your ego, but just into who you are. Like you feel grounded, you feel yourself, and that's so hard to explain, but I guess I could say spirit. You're aware of your spirit. And negative vibrations, negative actions, negative behaviors, I would define them as anything that makes you feel disconnected to that spirit, to that life force energy. Anything that makes you distance yourself and isolate yourself and want to inflict harm to others. I would define that as negative vibrations, things that take you away from who you really are. And I think that for truth has this positive vibration. And like I said, I'm lost for words right now because I made a mistake by trying to explain all of this because it makes sense in my head, but I can't really explain it in words because I don't really think words can do it any justice. But what I'm trying to say is, in the best way I can, truth, for lack of a better term, feels good. It makes you feel connected to yourself, and therefore it makes you feel connected to others, and you see others as you. Even though they are different than you are, maybe they're from a different culture or a different religion or a different upbringing, a different country. You see them and you see you. You see yourself, and you recognize the self within you and the self within the other person, knowing that it's the same thing. And why did I go on this rabbit hole for 23 minutes if you can't really explain it? But what I'm trying to say really badly is that I believe that no one has the absolute truth because we're so stuck in we're limited to our bodies. And unless we have, some altered state of consciousness where some people, the Kundalini, or you take substances, whatever it is, and you go through those dimensions and you break away from the body and the mind, you may discover certain things about yourself, but ultimately we have to come back to this dream and navigate through this dream in this vessel. And because of that, we are limited to seeing the absolute truth. But I dare say that we may not be able to understand or know the absolute truth, but we feel closer to it, or we feel maybe a bit connected to it when we come from positivity. And by positive, like I said, there aren't any words, but when we have pure intentions, and we ground ourselves, I feel like, at least for me, I've been able to feel at least more connected to the truth. And what I'm trying to say, and why I brought the blood moon and everything, we may not know the absolute truth. We may not know what's going on behind closed doors in the government or in our society or in our cities, in our local governments. We may not know what's going on behind closed doors. And we may not have all the information. But when people start to, may I say, proselytize you, claiming that they have the truth and they have the absolute truth, and you hear their preaching, and you hear them, and it seems like it's disconnected from the truth because it promotes division instead of unity. Just observe how that makes you feel. How it makes you feel to hate someone else. Does it make you feel connected to yourself? Does it make you feel bitter, or does it make you feel good? And how does it feel when you see someone else as you? Does it make you feel bitter? Does it make you feel disconnected? Does it make you feel united? Does it make you feel nurtured? So I guess what I'm trying to say is observe how you feel, and don't take anyone's word for truth, for what the truth is. You have to discover that yourself. Through your experience and through feeling it out. How does it really feel? How does it sit with you? I'm probably explaining this really poorly, and this video is a 28-minute ramble. And if you've watched this far, thank you. Thank you for sticking around, because I'm sure I'm not making any sense. But anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I hope you never stop speaking the truth. And whatever the truth is for you, at least following your truth, not trying to proselytize others, not trying to change others. But I guess I'm just trying to say that let's just all get along, peeps. I don't know what the fuck to think about this world. I'm just talking. I'm just another human thinking out loud. Peace and love. Bye.